I'd like to call our Hamblen County Legislative Body Committee meetings to order. We're going to start a little differently tonight, if you will, if you'll allow me. I'd like for everyone to rise and have an opening prayer tonight. So, Commissioner Richardson's had a tough week, and I just feel like we should extend that to him. Thank you, Mike, for being here tonight. Our hearts have been with you. Just know that. And I know you're, as the Bible says, to be strong and of good courage. We're very appreciative of you and your witness. That said, we'd like to also remember Wayne Neesmith. Wayne's still battling. I was able to talk to him this week, and he's got something in front of him that he needs to deal with. He talked fine. And wish he could be here. He was very adamant about those things, but I just thought we could say a prayer and lift those folks up. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings of life and all that you give us with that life. God, we have special needs before us, not only for county business, Lord God, but for more personal reasons. And we thank you for Mike and him being here tonight, but in the loss of his precious wife, Kathy. God, we just pray that you continue to uphold him and bless him. Lord God, gird him, strengthen him as we move forward. And Father, as our fellow commissioner, Mr. Neesmith, is out, we ask that you also have your hand on him and guide him, Lord God, in his healing and help him for a safe and quick return. We thank you, God, for all these things, but most certainly, thank you for your Son, Jesus, and the salvation that he brings. It's in his name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Chairman Horner of the Justice Center Public Service Committee, I'll call on you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. If there's anyone wishing to address the committee about agenda items only, may do so at this time. Seeing none. Old business, there is none. Item 4A, Justice Center Project Update. Brian Payne with Mosley Architects.
Hello there, how are you all this evening? I'm Brian Payne, I'm with Mosley Architects. Some of you do not know me, some of you do. Good to see you all tonight. Mayor Britton asked me to come up tonight and kind of introduce myself to the new commissioners that are here, put a face to a name. My name is Brian Payne. I'm the project manager with Mosley Architects. I've been involved in the project for about 4 years now, so it's been quite a while that I've been up here. We've looped some pictures tonight, kind of show you the progress of where things are. I'm understanding that we're, getting close to about our 25% complete overall for the project. A lot of excavation work's been done. A lot of concrete retaining walls have been done. A lot of stored materials have been ordered. Quite a bit of materials have been ordered, which is good in this kind of economy that we've got going on nowadays. So we're ahead of the game in that respect. Much of the precast concrete, which is the skin of the building, has been fabricated. You've seen some pictures there looping tonight on that. So just kind of wanted to let you know kind of overall where the project is as far as construction's going. We've had a number of conversations recently that I've started to come up and be a part of. We had a good session a few weeks back with Commissioner Richardson, and I think you all have had some opportunities to review the project, walk the project site, kind of walk through the existing detention center out there. And so I think maybe there might be some questions tonight. I think the mayor has given you all booklets on kind of progress to date, how we kind of got to where we are as far as the design goes. And I think maybe it may be advantageous if I can help answer questions tonight. I'm certainly available to do that. Bear with me, it's been a minute since I've looked at a few things on the project, so my recollection will be as best I can. So, but if there's questions that I can help address tonight, I'm certainly available to do that. And Tony will come up in a few minutes after me, and we'll give a little bit more detailed explanation of where things exactly stand on the project. So, any questions that I can help address?
So you're pleased with where we're at?
As far as progress in the
Yes.
construction, yeah, I think we're in good shape. I'm really pleased that the general contractor has taken the initiative to order some of the materials ahead of time. Tony and I were just speaking just a minute ago that they've really gotten out ahead of purchasing some of the longer lead items, some of the bigger pieces of equipment like mechanical, electrical, those things that we're starting to see some shortages on, or we have seen shortages on. Hopefully some of that's kind of improving now. So I think they've done a really good job of getting out ahead of that. Like I said, I participated in some recent meetings. I'm really pleased with how the relationship is going. It seemed like everybody that was involved in the progress meetings are getting along. It's they're working through things like they should. So I'm pleased overall with the progress so far. Anything else that?
Any other questions?
Is there anything that you foresee that we may be running into a problem that might be lurking in your head?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, or an 8-ball, whatever you want to say, but so I can't necessarily predict the future. I'm extremely hopeful that now that we're really getting out of the ground some of those unforeseen conditions that we've run across thus far, that I think the commission is all fully aware of, that hopefully a lot of those things are behind us. Like I said, the general contractor is doing a really good job of getting out ahead of stuff, purchasing stuff, and looking at the project. I think in our meeting they mentioned they were already starting to coordinate the roofing materials and things of that nature. So they're, even though they're still in the ground, they're already looking at coordinating items at the roof level. So they're doing a good job, I think, of that. So, as far as big picture items, I hope those things are behind us. There's always going to be little things that come up that we'll have to deal with as the project progresses, and we'll address those as they come up. But like I said, I think the big things hopefully are behind us.
Anyone else? Thank you, Brian.
All right, thank y'all very much.
Sir, thank you.
Tony Pettit with Burwell.
Thanks, ID. Hi, guys. Pardon my voice. Had a rough weekend. And then I got sick, too. So, I'm a volunteer fan. So, we got a couple of pictures scrolling. Let me try to explain these as they go through, but I can do it. Most of the walls are complete, of the lower level foundations. Like Brian said, we're at 32% build out. Now, it's unbelievable, like Brian said, that we're $16,745,000 worth of stored material. That's a bunch of stored material out there. But as you can scroll through here, you'll see the precast, which is one of the things that's got another billing this time. Every time they bill us for stored material, they send us the contractor and its subcontractor sends a certificate of insurance for where it's being stored, plus a bill of sale, so it belongs to us. So we have that stored material somewhere where that certificate of insurance says it's covered for loss. So we have that. The stored material helps us reduce the risk so we don't get hit with escalation costs. Now, who's to say we can prevent all of that? But we're doing our best to combat that. So with the supply chain issues that we've had on other projects here close by, you may know I'm involved in some other projects here, but we've had to battle that there, and we're trying to do a better job of combating it in this project. So that's how come that stored material number is skewed like that. The micropiles, the one that we spent $250,000 extra money on, we still like those 14. And then we'll swing back around, but those 14 are back in that corner toward the, what is that building? Rescue Squad, yeah, thank you. So that's kind of where they're going to go. If you'll get one of these pictures and look real close on the lower corner of it, you'll see that big truck that was in the bottom corner is a big conveyor belt that's on a truck, and they're backfilling those walls on that back side. Thank you, Trish. On the back side there, and when they get that up where they can set their micropile equipment on, they'll be able to drill down and finish our micropiles. And we won't ever have to talk about micropiles again, I promise. But we got 14 more to go. The concrete walls on the lower level are 77% complete, so we're getting real close there. The grading, the storm's virtually complete, 99%. The waterproofing, which as the backfill comes up on those walls, the waterproofing goes before it, it's 26% complete. And just after Thanksgiving, right before Christmas, we should still see some structural steel starting going up. It's scheduled for the week after Thanksgiving. So we should begin to see something more like a building come up after that. And that's basically my report. Any questions?
Tony, when we own the precast,
Right.
when we transport it up here, whose insurance would that be on?
That will be their insurance on that. They'll have with that certificate, they have the insurance already.
Okay.
It's just proof to us that wherever they got it stored is covered. Plus, they also have the other insurances required by our contract. And basically what happens, the general contractor pushes it down to a subcontractor, and they'll have the insurance coverage for loss on the transportation.
All right, thank you.
Sorry. That's the,
When do you foresee the last micropause?
that's supposed to schedule about the second week of December. Yeah. That was a tough question. I had to go back and find that one, but I think it's about the second week of December.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the 25% meeting, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So, as I got up here and had to talk about micropiles, and I think the other one that's kind of a sticking point was the security hardware coordination between the two. You asked me, why, whereas, and I suggested as we went through that to keep communications open so that we don't get to the very end and everybody has a bad feeling and we end up spending all our money on attorneys, that we have these meetings as milestones. And I suggested the 25, 50, and 75%. And at the end, 100% between the designer, Brian's outfit, Mosley, and the contractor and us. I represent you guys. And Mike is set in on the first one. So that's basically why we have we had our first meeting, even though we're about 12, 13% complete, really, with all the billables we have out there. We have, if I'm right, we have actually billed 33%. So it was time to schedule that, and it was a good time to sit down. So we were able to sit down. But in that 25% meeting, we kind of talked about those two sticking points, and it's a good time to ask questions. Where I got Brian in the room too, and you can ask him also. But I've been in business since I was 22 years old in commercial construction. Didn't know a whole lot about it then. I was mainly installing stuff. But I've never seen a perfect set of drawings. And to have a perfect set of drawings, 100% complete perfect is something it's just like Lord and Savior. It's not going to be perfect for the drawings. I mean, he can be perfect, but the rest of us can't. And you're going to have issues, things that need to be tweaked and caught, adjusted, and fixed as we go through. Now, the trick about all this is between the designer and the contractor is to catch those early enough to catch it to where it's not costing anybody a lot of time and money. Time is money, but not catch it then, make sure it's right, and have that communication going on. So that's part of that 25% issue. Some of the issues that's come up, and those issues will come up. I was looking back on it. Basically, we've only had two major issues right now. That was some extra concrete in the mat foundations, and then those security locks and stuff. Just, you would have had to pay for it had it been in there before. You've heard me talk about unjust enrichment. That's basically goes back to that, and so we had a discussion about that at last Thursday, and talking about how things are addressed, how things get resolved in our meetings. We meet every other week on site with one of Brian's coworkers, very good architect, great project manager for the architects, and she keeps on top of things with paperwork and everything like that. And then we're blessed with having Blaine Construction, and that guy's name's Blaine Prine, and he looks ahead. So we've got a good team, and they communicate pretty well. Now, we don't always hold hands and skip around. Sometimes we get a little testy in our meetings, but we resolve the differences. So some of the things we talked about the micropiles and how much nobody's like buying tires on a car. You hardly ever get excited about buying tires on a car, but you got to have them. You got to have the micropiles, and nobody would know what was down below the earth and how much grout we used on that. It was just unbelievable. We talked about some of the nuances of the change orders, how the change orders get processed, how we recognize pending change orders, and how they get resolved. Some of them are labeled as a pending change, and sometimes they just fade away. Sometimes they're credits. Haven't been able to get the credits to equal the ads, but we are always working for that. We had a conversation with Mr. Richardson, Commissioner Richardson, on errors and emissions versus, errors and emissions versus emissions and stuff like that. And there were some good questions like, how far ahead do we look? And, the questions in the meeting were, we look ahead on the site, we look ahead 2 months. But in the project management side and the designer and the contractor, they're like Brian said, they're already through the roof on their materials and stuff, trying to look ahead and prevent issues that's coming up. So they try to look at everything. Blaine is doing a 3D coordination drawing and checking to make sure the ductwork goes this way and the piping goes over it, under it, and it drains if it's a gravity flow, and penetrations through the roof. And they do a lot of coordination meetings there. So we talked about the other thing we talked about is we want to do another 50% meeting at the appropriate time too, so we get those back. So I think I covered everything there. Okay, so we'll make sure that's right. I've got a whole narrative here somewhere about it, but that's generally what happened during that 25% meeting.
Do we expect to be 50% in about 1 year? I mean, it's a 2-year project thereabouts, and
What'll happen is somewhere around next summer, we'll see a lot of things happening. The steel sale, there's a lot of things that's prefabricated. We got a bunch of steel sails down in Baldwin, Georgia, that's already fabricated sitting in a warehouse. Mm-hmm. So when we get the steel set up, then you'll start seeing the precast sails, prefabricated sails come in, the jail sails, and that goes up pretty quick. And then you'll see the precast that's cycling through these photographs right here, go and clad that part of the building. So that gets up so far, they have to erect all that steel the way to do it, to get the size crane they need to erect it. They get it all set up, and then they'll start doing the Justice Center itself.
right. I thought that was fascinating, the way you explained how you have to work hand in hand, do all this before you can begin the other, just to keep the crane going. And not
Yeah.
shut something down. So
Yeah, those good questions asked.
you guys know what you're doing.
Hard knocks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Item 4B, sewer easement relocation agreement. Mayor Bill Britton.
Last month, you may recall that you passed a change order to relocate the sewer line coming out of McNabb Center. So that it wouldn't interfere with our retention pond, where all the stormwater goes from this project. What this document is an easement, signed, an easement agreement which gives all the parties involved, which is McNabb, the county, Marshtown Utilities, and Henry Manor Apartments, that we're all in agreement on the property, I think it's a 20-foot wide easement, that we're all in agreement on where the piping is going to go, that Marshtown Utility will have access to that piping to repair it if need be. And so that's what this agreement is. This is the second draft of the agreement. The first needed to be changed some to at the request of Henry Manor Apartments. And so I'm requesting approval of this agreement, and I'll distribute it to all the parties and get it signed.
We need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion. There is a second.
Second.
Mike Richardson made the motion.
Rodney.
Rodney made the second.
All in favor, say aye.
Any discussion?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, one thing too, Mr. Chairman, if you would, under items of other interest, just for your information, there's an award letter in the packet about a grant that we received. Sheriff Mullins and I went to a TCI board meeting, I think it was in August, September, and these TCI training grants are given. One of the requirements is that you have a certified facility, and we do not have a certified facility, but we gave them an update on what we're doing, showed them pictures of and renderings of where we're going, and the inspector was there who's been on site, and so they went ahead and awarded us a $10,000 grant to buy training equipment for the jailer. So we'll use that to purchase some tables, some software, some tablets that the sheriff's department will use to train corrections officers. So I just wanted to give you that information. Thank you.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Horner. I will call on Chairman Hahn of the Finance Committee. You're recognized.
We'll open the Finance Committee. Anyone wishing to make a statement or comment, may do so at this time.
Van Holden, 8150 Point Drive. Just wondering if his microphone is on.
Pull it down.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. We look at item 2A, our expenditure reports. If you want to take a moment, you can look over those at your leisure. Item 2B, reviewing and accepting our monthly checks for October of 2022.
Yes, sir.
I need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Mike Richardson makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Stan Harville making a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? So moved. Moving down to item 4A, Resolution 22. This is a resolution authorizing a loan to the Board of Hamblen County, Morristown Solid Waste Disposal System, and an amended and restated solid waste disposal agreement and addressing related matters. Mayor Britton.
In your packet is a resolution that addresses two issues dealing with the expansion at the landfill. One is the agreement with the solid waste system that the bonds that we'll issue in January for, to help finance the expansion will be loaned to the solid waste system with the proceeds not to exceed $4,675,000. And the solid waste system agrees to make all the principal and interest payments. What they would do is they would pay us on a quarterly basis, and then we send that payment on to the bondholders. And then that the solid waste system would establish a tipping fee sufficient to make those payments. And the solid waste system has done that. At their last meeting, they scheduled a tipping fee increase to $50 a ton effective July 1st of 2023. So that's the first part of the resolution, is the loan agreement between us and the solid waste system. The second part is an amendment to the solid waste disposal agreement of 1988. And that's the agreement that formed the solid waste system. And what this amendment does is it requires the county to dispose of all its non-hazardous solid waste into the Hamblen County Morristown landfill and pay the tipping fee that is charged for disposing of that solid waste. Most of it, well, it's about half and half residential and half non-residential type garbage. So that's what this resolution does, is the loan agreement for the proceeds of the bond sale, and then it's a commitment on our part to the solid waste system that we would dispose all of our non-hazardous waste in our landfill. And I'm recommending that we adopt this resolution. And the city of Morristown has already adopted a resolution for them. They actually, last week, they issued their bonds for their part of the financing for the landfill expansion. The interest rate they received was 3.91%, and it was sold at a premium. So they just had to sell $4.5 million worth of bonds. So.
Anything else? Need a motion to accept this resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the resolution for the loan and to amend the solid waste agreement.
Mr. Long, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike Richardson, thank you, sir. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Discussion.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Item 4B, renewal of the Hamblen County Sheriff's Department slip and mooring lease agreement with Cherokee Boat Dock LLC, April 22nd through March of 2023. Sheriff Mullins, do you need to address anything?
If anybody got any questions, we've had that slip for probably 6-7 years. We keep our boat out there at all times, available if we need it. We got a lot of area out there to cover. We've got our boat out there full day.
Do I have a motion?
So moved, Chairman.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Huntsman, seconds.
Any discussion?
Any discussion? Well, thank you. We'll vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 4C, JBI Renewal Agreement, SCAAP Grant. Mayor Britton.
JBI is an organization that manages the SCAP grant for Hamblen County and has for several years. And what this grant, it's a federal grant that we receive monies for housing undocumented citizens, or not citizens, but undocumented residents, inmates. And so JBI has been managing that grant for us, and this is an extension of the contract for 3 years.
That's for undocumented inmates.
Yeah.
How much is it?
The payment is it's not in this renewal that we have. It's a percentage. I'll have that at the commission meeting. I don't know off the top of my head.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Harville, do we have a second? Commissioner Huntsman, seconds. All in favor? Or, excuse me, any discussion? No discussion, we'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4D, I, Fund 101, interfund transferring $650,000. Mayor Britton?
Mr. Chairman, what this is part of, I guess, it's putting into the budget the transfer of funds from the general fund into the construction fund for the Justice Center project. Part of financing the construction center project, $96.5 million of it was from the bond proceeds. $7.5 million is from American Rescue Plan money, and then this $650,000 is general fund money to go to pay for the construction of the Justice Center. And this is putting the money. This is the budget amendment to transfer the money from the general fund to Fund 189, which is our construction fund, and where the bond proceeds are resting, and where the American Rescue Plan money went.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, could you expand on one thing, please? Just for clarification, this fund balance, we've already set it aside for that.
Yes.
I mean, it was already, this is a procedural move with an interfund transfer,
To
correct?
move the money to where
Yes, sir.
it can be used.
Okay.
Any discussion? All right, let's vote the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion moved. Carries. Item 4D, 2, Fund 101, Chancery Court, $3,957.
What this budget amendment does is it budgets money that we've received from individuals and companies that have bought property and delinquent tax sales. It budgets on the revenue side, and then on the expense side to pay for the advertising for the sale. And in the advertising is one of the fees that the buyers pay when they buy the property. So this is just establishing the money in the budget so we can pay the bill for the newspaper advertisement.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Richardson, do I have a second?
Second.
Who was that? Commissioner Long, okay. Voting the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We should have had a discussion in there, and I left that out. Does anybody have any questions or discussion on that? Okay, thank you. My apologies. Item D3, Fund 101, General Sessions Court, $2,000.
This budget amendment is to appropriate more funds for mental health evaluations for defendants in Judge Collins's court. From time to time, he'll order a mental health evaluation for a defendant. According to state law, we're responsible for paying those. They're $800 apiece, and he's approaching exceeding his budget for this year. And so this is just to cover any additional evaluations that he may order.
Do I have a motion? Commissioner Reed, do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Harville, any discussion?
Will this take him through?
That's what we're anticipating, yes.
No, we don't know that.
But we don't know for sure. It just depends on the cases.
Any other questions or discussion? Let's vote the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4D, 4, Election and Planning Commission, $5,600.
Last month, you approved pay increases for the election and planning commissions as well as the highway commission. And here, this is the budget amendment to put the money for the pay raises for election commission and the planning commission. Now, on the highway commission, one thing we discovered after the meeting last month was that their salaries are set by the private act that created the road commission. So as a county commission, you don't have the authority to change their salary. So that can be done by amending the private act. And so we'll, if you still want to pursue that, we will introduce next month an amendment to the private act to increase the pay, or to, instead of setting a salary amount for the road commission, is give the county commission the authority to set the pay for the road commission. So that'll be next month. So what this budget amendment does is puts the money in the budget from an assigned fund balance for the pay increases for the election commission and the planning commission.
Very good. Do I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
Commissioner Richardson makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Chairman Cutshaw makes the second. Any discussion or questions? Mr. Richardson?
Mayor, the road commission side of that, if we bring it back to the county commission legislative body, does that take that private act out or just amend the private act?
Just amends the private act.
And
And I mean, that depends on what you want to do. Now, what I'll bring to the commission next month is an amendment,
Okay,
just to deal with the pay.
okay.
and you're suggesting that we amend the private act to put it in the hands of the county commission to set their salaries as well.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Will that be a one-time thing? I mean,
If you set it up that way, where the commission sets the salaries,
then we can go forward with that anytime.
yes. And the process on a private act is the county commission approves amending the private act, and then you give it to our legislators, and then they introduce it in the state legislature, and they get it passed, and then it comes back, and it has to be adopted by the county commission again.
Any other discussion, question?
I got a question. I'd like to know, myself personally, what do they do? I know what the title is like that, and I know what they're set up to do, but as far as actually going and working on the roads or doing anything or making anything done, I don't see anything, because it's already going through, through Gray Pool, looks like to me, and he pretty much sets up what he's gonna do with his money and everything, but I don't understand why we're paying money to a commission here that really has no authority, to my knowledge, county, to do. I don't know about it.
Yeah, that'd be a question for the highway commissioners on what,
Yeah.
on,
Well, I think it ought to be brought up. I think we ought to find out what we got here.
I can have them, I'll have them here next month when we have that amendment,
Okay?
and they can explain what they do.
Do you know how often they meet?
Monthly.
Yes.
Meet tomorrow.
Yes.
And one thing excuse me.
I'm sorry.
No, excuse me. One thing to do remember that it is a private act, and it would take an amendment to that private act to, to even take that away. We would have to have Representative Eldridge or State Senator Sutherland to carry that to Nashville for legislative change. If we were to do something, either way, with our amendment or, am I correct, Mayor?
If you want to do away with,
Yeah.
But not for the pay raise.
for the pay.
Yes.
For the pay raise,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, for that.
Any amendment to any private act.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
they do get calls that we would get if they weren't there, especially on roads and stuff of that nature. But
But still, they can't do nothing. Very criticized.
I served on the road commission.
Yes, sir.
In the late '90s, so, it is a vital thing. They sit down with Mr. Poole. You have issues of whether you're gonna take a road into the county or not. That highway commission makes that decision, All the projects are brought before the road commission that Mr. Poole's working on, so, I'm not biased there, but it is vital for them it's another way of checkpoint
I got you.
of all the projects going on, road commissions.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Motion is carried. Item 4D5, Fund 122, Drug Control Fund of $40,997.
What this budget amendment about is rebudgeting money that was in last year's budget in the drug fund. We had money in the drug fund last year to purchase a vehicle for the narcotics unit. Ford canceled the order. Right now, we're still waiting on vehicles we ordered a year and a half ago, and just because they're so hard to get. So there has been a vehicle found, and that the narcotics unit can purchase, and so this is budgeting those funds to purchase that vehicle.
Need a motion to accept?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Harville, second. Commissioner Huntsman, any questions or discussion?
What kind of vehicle are they purchasing?
This pickup truck, it's a pickup.
No, it's a Ford Explorer. We've had it on order ever since that vehicle was wrecked, and we got the insurance check. But like the mayor said, we're not able to get any vehicles right now. We can't get Dodge trucks, Dodge Chargers. We looked at the Tahoes like the city had to go to, was out there, and the Ford Explorers. We just happened to get this one. And I don't know when, they can't tell us when the next one's will be available.
So we need to move on this, in your opinion.
Absolutely.
Any more discussion? All in favor of passing the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? Motion is carried. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Hahn. We will now recognize Vice Chair Harville of the Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anybody wishing to address the committee, come forward now. Seeing none, and there being no old business, the only piece of new business is the approval of longevity pay submissions that you see on the next page, and there is only one. We'll entertain a motion.
Motion?
Motion by Mr. Horner. Second, Mr. Walker. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion passes. And that is all on the agenda.
Thank you, Chairman, Vice Chair Harville. And we will now move to Chairman Richardson of the Public Services Committee. Sir, you are recognized.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Public Services Committee session to order, please. Any visitors wishing to address the committee? Seeing none, we'll go on to item 4. There's no old business. Go to item 4. And 4A is the approval of the regularly scheduled meetings for the Hamblen County Commission. If you look behind there, we have the new 2023 date set. Looks like there's only one Tuesday, and it conforms with what we're doing now. So we have a motion.
Motion.
Have a motion from Ms. Ahern. And a second.
Second.
Who?
Me.
Rodney Long. Any discussion? No discussion, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Richardson. Chairman Hahn of the Rules Review Committee, you are recognized, sir.
We'll call the Rules Committee, Review Committee to order. Does anyone have any any discussion or comments at this time?
Linda Noe, Joe Stevens Road. It's nice to know about a year and 8 months after your last meeting, we're now back with the rules. This is something that should have been handled a long time ago. It's an important, very important process and assignment that you have. I hope you will take it, and I trust you'll take it very seriously, and that you'll come up with rules that are good for not just commission, but good for the public and the citizens and the taxpayers. That you will promote open government, transparent government, providing information to people, not just commissioners, but to the people who foot the bills. And I am wondering if you are going to start with the assembly of rules that I believe your intern did, again, a year and a half ago, roughly. Or are we starting from zero? Are we going to codify, which is extremely important, so you can find information? In fact, that might have helped with this situation with the road department. If you realized you had a private act before you passed the resolution to increase pay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Noe. Anyone else have any comments? We'll close the comment section and move down. There is no old business. In new business, item 4A is our initial rules discussion. Now, each one of you received a copy of our rules. We'll get a chance to pass along some information here. These rules will be codified. They will be put in a very accessible form when completed. These are not set in stone. as a committee, and you see the committee members are listed there. As a committee, you'll have input into everything. If you're not on the committee, you have input. And this input can come from you, it can come from people in your district, suggestions from other people. We're wide open on this. This is a document that is, as Ms. Noy addressed, it's not good for us only, nor is it good for them only. We're gonna try to do this the right way. And I think if nothing else, the last couple of years have shown that we slipped away from decorum, we slipped away from professionalism, we've let emotions take over. I'm guilty, and for that I apologize sincerely. And we need to come together. We need to be unified. And to do that, I think this document of rules is going to be very important for us to get along, to get things done, and to accomplish things. Just like with the amendment that we talked about. Yeah, that slipped by. Shouldn't have. We should have known that. So we're going to do our best to not just talk about the rules, but implement the rules on both sides of the aisle. And we want to do this in a timely fashion. We don't rush into it. We want to put some sincere thought into it, and we want to work through this process. So this is a starting point for us. So I encourage you to please, whether you're on the committee or not, to look over this, read over this, make notes, come back in with suggestions, and you can talk to the people. It doesn't matter. We need to get on board with this and do it the right way. Now, Chairman Cutshaw and myself, we discussed how quickly we want to put this into place. And I think it's important that we can get this rounded up and codified and ready to go with the new year. And we can do that because we have a good basis right here, and if we just take time to learn from our mistakes. And we have made some mistakes on this. We've not stayed true to form, we've not followed our own rules, and we've not insisted that others follow the rules, which that's going to be a different thing. We're going to put these rules down, and they are going to be followed by both sides of the aisle. So rest assured that we are going to do that. So we're going to look at this, obviously starting in November now. By December, we want to have something kind of in concrete. And then when we come back in January, we want to put it into action at our January meetings. So that gives us a couple of months. It's going to take some thought. There are going to be some things we're going to want to eliminate. There's going to be a lot of things we want to add. We'll have to reword some things. But take it serious, please. I encourage you. I think we just kind of got off track the last time we tried to do this. And we definitely want to make sure that we're on the same page and that we're working towards a common goal that's going to be good for everyone in the community and not just for the county commission or not just for anyone else.
Chairman, if I may
Yes.
interject, rules are, it's been noted that we need to set them aside, but I think Commissioner Richardson had a great point of the day when we discussed this just briefly, is that this is a fluid document. There is no way that we'll be able to answer all questions before January. The idea, I believe, is Commissioner Hahn is taking this on, is that we get started. And we obviously hope to operate by Robert's rules. We have CTAS as a guide that we can use some of their rules and how to operate things. But on top of that, we'll have our local rules that will work as Hamblen County needs. And that's just a suggestion. And as he said, I encourage each one of you to be prepared for discussion. And that, we want to try to get it right. But here's the key to all of it. If we don't get it right, we can amend. Okay? We can always fix. We can go back and look. And there's nothing that says. In my conversations, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to take too long, but my conversation with Charles Curtis about something, the only thing that this commission is bound by, nothing else but debt. Debt is the only thing that we are bound by. Anything else, if we can fix or amend, work in a better fashion, more suitable, however you want to say it. So everything's up. And I think that we have an opportunity here to do something good. And that's the whole idea of this Rules Committee. And hopefully we can do so and operate the best we can as a county and be about the county's business. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As he mentioned, we're taking guidance from Charlie Curtis, getting input from him. We'll implement Robert's Rules of Order. And I know that sometimes it gets to be a little bit of a free-for-all, but we're going to tighten that up for us. We're going to, I know we've had some problems speaking over people in the past. Someone's got the floor and then someone else doesn't get the floor, but they talk anyway. These are just examples. We are going to tighten that up, and it's going to come down to this man. So when he calls on you for speaking out of turn, as they say, we'll make you go stand in the corner back there. That corner may be full. But in all honesty, we've got to get decorum back. We've got to get this back in order. And we want to be respected. They want to be respected. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we respect ourselves and show that respect. So we're going to do that. And like I say, there won't be a test or anything, but take this document, these pages, and look over them, and then come back in and be ready with some suggestions of your own. But it is a fluid document, and we got to make it fit what we need for it to do. Mr. Warner.
Chairman, just to add to something Charlie Curtis had said, these will be Hamblen County rules. What works for one county may not work for Hamblen County. So I know there's been a lot of discussion on, well, so-and-so does this, county does that, but it may not be what Hamblen County needs.
Right.
So I think when we get this on paper and can look at it, it's going to be a good thing.
Great.
And a lot of it's just going to be just respect. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Horner. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So to clarify, if we have anything we want to present,
Present, yes.
we have it to you by the December committee meeting?
The December committee meeting, I think, well,
And then-
earlier if you can, so
and
we can
at
look
that
at it.
point, you will make a rough draft. I'm gonna call it a
Right.
first draft.
First draft.
And then we will review that draft and make any other.
Right. And right now, we don't have any plans to meet outside of our regular meeting times. I know we did that before, and it didn't go as well. So I think we can handle that within our committees. And that keeps everybody else in the loop a lot better. And that way you don't have to come back out and sit in the jury box or whatever. And I just thought that separates. But like I say, there's, 4 or 5 of us on here, but there's 14 of us on here. There's 5 of us that'll vote, but there's 14 of us on this committee. And I know personally, as being chairman, I covet your input and your suggestions, and we'll make this work. We'll get it on the right track. Okay. Yes.
Chairman, I appreciate especially the flow that we're going to have the opportunity to be able to change. Because times change, situations change, rules sometimes need to be changed. So this is an ongoing document that
Exactly.
we can add to. If it's not working, we can subtract. And I appreciate that because life is ever-changing.
Always.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yes. As Commissioner Richardson said, it is a fluid document. And so we're gonna seek guidance from the state, from the community, and from each other, okay? Any other discussion, any other questions, comments, anything?
One clarification, Commissioner Richardson said we will probably have a rough draft of an initial, initial rules. But that's only for those. It's not the end of the story. I want to reiterate that. It's not the end of the story. There'll always be something else that we will need to look at and address. And my suggestion, of course, would be that if it's not covered yet, we refrain back to how we did until we can look at it. And is in Robert's rules, once we adopt by majority vote, it would take a 2/3 majority to amend or change, do something different with that. Just so everyone understands, we're going to use that as part of that process.
Very good. If there's no other discussion, I adjourn this committee.
Thank you, Chairman Hahn. Okay, let's see, Vice Chairman Horner of the Calendar and Rules, sir, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Call the Calendar and Rules Committee to order. If anyone wishes to address, you may do so at this time.
Linda Noe, Joe Stevens Road, regarding the calendar and rules. I would ask that you not try to come up with a final draft. I mean, you're talking about a partial draft of rules, but then I get the impression then you would want to vote on that at the December commission meeting. And correct me if I'm wrong, you said, and then implement the rules beginning in January. For a group that was, pardon?
I may have, that may have been what came out, but what we're gonna try to do is pull it all together in December and vote on it in January and implement it. I think I did say bring it in with the new year, but I didn't mean January 1, I meant after the January meeting.
But are you talking about voting in December?
I don't think so, no.
It is possible. Sorry, this is her public comment time.
Yeah.
Point of order, it's not a
Yes, sir.
conversation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Way to go. You just mentioned, and Ms. Ahern mentioned, changing rules. And certainly, times change, rules change. Or some rules would change. I think some rules are written in stone. But this sudden rush to get it done. You had 4 meetings last time. I thought they were good meetings. Perhaps you didn't like them, but I thought they were very good. They were open. Mr. DeBoard allowed comments. There was good input from the various people on that committee. And now it seems like there's a rush to get it passed. This is something important enough that there should be discussion, a lot of discussion, not only commissioners, but the public. And when you had those prior meetings in 2021, there were a lot of public members that attended. I would just ask that you consider not trying to pass a final set of rules in December, perhaps not even passing a final set in January. Allow discussion in December, discussion in January, and let the people know the rules are coming out. Let them see the drafts, and then consider perhaps around February actually implementing whatever it is that comes about as a result of all the input from everyone. It just seems this is a rush when there's no need to rush. In fact, this is the very time, because of what you mentioned, these rules, yes, you can change them, but look how long it took to ever even look at the rules and to come to the point of changing the rules now. Let's get it right. Let's give it 90 days. Is that too much to ask? 90 days? Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? If not, 4A, review of the regular calendar items. I'll put that for, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, did I hear a second? Have
Second.
Mike Reed second it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Likewise. Motion passes. 4B, review of consent calendar items. And I will need a motion on that.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hahn. I need a second. Second by Commissioner Reed. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Likewise. That's all I have, Mr.
I want to say, the motion by Commissioner Hahn, Mr. Reed
Reed.
second. Mr. Reed second. Thank you, Chairman, or Vice Chairman Horner. Just while it's fresh on our minds, yes, rules are important. There's nothing going to be rushed through this. This is up to the commission and how the committee brings it out of and takes it to the commission, the full commission. If they decide to vote on it, that's your decision. There's some of these rules that have been talked about, and I've been here, a few years, and I was on that rules committee, and there's been a lot of discussion. There's a lot of prepared groundwork already done. I just want you guys to know that it is up to this commission how you proceed. And I'm looking forward to these healthy discussions. Most of our rules will be as is. There'll be some fine tuning. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. And a couple of announcements that we need to take care of. The Chamber of Commerce dinner. Each commissioner is invited to the Chamber of Commerce dinner. If you are interested, please see Trish. Let her know your intentions. I had intended to send out a text this week, and I haven't got it done, but we have our Marshtown Annual Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade, I think it is, December the 1st. The idea is we're going to try to come up with a ride where we can all ride together if you like, or whomever would like to ride. We're going to try to do that together if you like. You're welcome to do as you would or as you will, but we're going to try to have something where we can do together. I'll be in touch with you on that and let you know what we come up with and ask if you are, if you'd like to join us or not. And lastly, there was some invitations set out tonight for our December the 12th social gathering at Commissioner Richardson's home, and we'd just like for you to let us know if you're going to be there. Anything else, Mike, on that, or Debbie? Y'all are heading it up? Anything? Okay. All minds clear. Is there anything anyone like to add?